What's the story, morning glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and joining me again for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 3, Reunion Part 3. So we're going to start off where we left off in the previous episode. Marceau and Lewis are going back and forth about who can give marital advice to whom. The bottom line is, I agree with Marceau. Lewis and Tiffany, y'all both have a divorce under your belt, and you've only been married to each other for about a year. So you are in no position to give anybody marital advice, especially a couple that's been married for 15 years or any other couple on that stage for that matter. Like I said, the whole season they always appeared, Tiffany and Lewis, they always appeared very like, oh, because we've been divorced, then we know what's going on with marriages. We know how to make a marriage work. And I don't think so. I don't think so. I think if you've been married 20, 30, 40 years and you're still together and you're still, whatever, getting through your issues and still remaining together, yes, I'm willing to listen to you for marital advice. People who've been divorced, save it. So so they go back and forth with that. I agree with Marceau with what he said. And then it comes time for the men to leave the stage so that the women can come on. Now, the men leave the stage. Maurice and Marceau go to their dressing room. Martel goes to his dressing room. And then Lewis makes a beeline directly to the dressing room that Martel is in and starts, jaw-jacking with Martel and talking about, how rough his segment was because whatever, they're jaw-jacking. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Lewis, the whole season, you were talking a lot of crap about the Holts, how they can't behave, you can't take them anywhere, they're always embarrassing you because they're constantly arguing with each other, and now you and Martel are BFFs out of nowhere because why? Because I didn't get it. Whatever. So then the ladies are on stage. So let's start off with Tiffany and Destiny. So I thought that Tiffany and Destiny has squashed their beef because they had that heart-to-heart conversation about how they both have very similar childhood. They were both raised by people who are not their biological parents or both in the foster system. So I thought that they had squashed their beef, with the fact of, Tiffany talking about how LeBaric had brought some other woman to some event, and Tiffany thought that other woman was Destiny, and Destiny was like fresh off of her divorce, and here's Tiffany bringing up her husband, her ex-husband, and possibly being out with another woman when he was still married to Destiny. It was just really very tasteless, very inappropriate, and very rude, and very careless of Tiffany to do that, but she did it. So then they had their meeting, they had their meetup, they talked it out, they apologized, and I thought everything was fine. But then on stage, Carlos King asks Destiny, do you think that Tiffany's messy? And Tiffany said, oh, hell yeah, I think she's messy. And Destiny says, oh, hell yeah, I think she's messy. So I was like really confused. I didn't understand, like, where did the breakdown happen again? I didn't really see it in the season after their heart to heart. So I was really confused about why they were beefing again. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. So as they're talking, Tiffany and Destiny, Melody interjects and says, what's really going on between the two of you? Like, why don't y'all get along? And Carlos King said, well, you know what? I think their issue is just a byproduct of your issue with Destiny because Melody and Destiny were having some major issues throughout this season. Just when you thought that they were, back on the same page, something would happen completely out of left field and they're back, squabbling again. And Destiny said that she had reached out to Melody several times after they stopped recording and Melody really didn't respond back. And Melody said, well, once we're done, once we wrap for the season, I'm over it. I am through with Huntsville and everybody associated with Huntsville. And I thought to myself, Melody, that's not good. These people are still your friends even after you're done recording. So basically you're making it seem like you're only friends with them and you only deal with them when you're recording. And then when you're done recording, you're through with them. That's the true definition of a fair weather friend. And then, Tisha steps in and says, well, Melody's the kind of person that when she needs you for something, she's your friend. But once you've served your purpose, she's done with you. And she's not really a good example of a true friend. And Melody said, well, you're not either, Tisha. Okay, let's rewind. Melody, we're talking about you right now. Melody, Yeah, that sounds a lot like you. That sounds a lot like you, Melody. Melody seems to me like she's a very self-centered person. Like no matter what you're talking about with her, if you're her friend and you're having a conversation with her, you can tell her that your grandmother died in your arms and took her last breath in your hands, in your arms, and she will somehow bring it back to her and Martell, or bring it back to her and her businesses, or whatever. She will always bring the conversation back to her. No matter what you're talking about, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you need her for, she always will bring it back to herself. And I think I've seen this on the episode a couple of times, where people have come to her talking about one thing, especially Destiny. And then, like, I think when Destiny would talk about her own issues, her own marital problems with LeBeric, somehow or another the conversation ends up talking about her and Martell. So I believe that Melody is like a pretty self-centered type of person. Moving on to Kimmy and Tisha. So Carlos King says it was really evident through the season that the relationship between Kimmy and Tisha was fractured. And I think what's going on between these two women, too bad, is centered around men. Their issues are basically around their husbands or their marriages. Okay, so Tisha is upset with Kimmy because when Melody and Tisha were going at it, because Tisha was always talking about Melody's marriage and who Martell was sleeping with and who Martell is having children with outside of his marriage. And then Melody felt like she had to throw the mud right back and talk about, well, do you know how faithful your man is? Do you know how secure your marriage is? And that would just send Tisha, unraveling. And so when they were going through all of that cattiness, Tisha felt as if Kimmy should have been more on her side and less on Melody's side. And that, according to Tisha, when it came to Melody, Kimmy would never check her on anything. Like, Melody could do no wrong in Kimmy's eyes. Whereas Kimmy would always point out Tisha's faults. Now, Kimmy said, no, that is not true. That is not true at all. I have checked both of you in front of you several times. And so she talked about how she had checked both of them this one particular time. And then Tisha was like, well, that was the only time. When else did you do it? And Kimmy brought up another time when she had checked both of them and basically would tell them, hey, stop talking about each other. Just don't mention each other's marriages and how faithful or unfaithful your husbands are. Just don't talk about that. That she would tell them both that. And I totally 1,000% agree. Believe Kimmy that she would have told them something like that. But these women didn't listen. So okay, and so Kimmy, I feel like, has every right to go hard on Tisha because so many times, because we know that Tisha, she doesn't like confrontation. This season, she tried to buck up a little bit, but for the most part, Tisha doesn't really like confrontation. She lets her mom do the dirty work for her. So many times Miss Wanda would say things about Kimmy that were just basically inappropriate because Tisha and her mother both believed that Kimmy was taking Melody's side or not defending Tisha enough against Melody. So Miss Wanda would always have something to say about Kimmy. And Kimmy, I think for the longest time, she took it. She didn't respond. She didn't say anything. She took it because out of respect of this being her friend's mother, she kept her mouth shut until she couldn't keep her mouth shut no more. So then when Kimmy finally started to stand up to Miss Wanda, then all of a sudden, the situation between Tisha and Kimmy got even worse. So Carlos King then says, is Tisha the type of woman, he's asking Kimmy, is Tisha the kind of woman that you would be friends with if you weren't related? And Kimmy was honest and said, no, I wouldn't be friends with her. She says, I don't have that kind of energy to give. And she didn't say anything like, I wouldn't like her, or she's just not my cup of tea, or we don't have anything in common. All she said was, I wouldn't have that kind of energy, which means that if they were not related and they were going through the issues that they went, this is how I took it. If they were not related and they were going through all these issues about, is Kimmy more on Melody's side? Is she more on Tisha's side? Who is she really more friends with? If it was like that, Kimmy would have just cut them both off probably and would have no problem cutting them off. That's how I see it. She wasn't saying that, oh, I just don't like her and I wouldn't be friends with her. But that's how Tisha took it, because Tisha's a baby. That's how Tisha took it. Well, if you don't want to be my friend, then I don't want to be your friend. I wouldn't be your friend either. But she really wasn't saying that she doesn't like, it wasn't anything personal. It was just that whole thing with Melody and Tisha, and whose husband's cheating on who, and whose husband's having babies with who, and whose marriage is more stronger than whose. All of that between them, Kimmy didn't want to give that any more energy. She wasn't there for all of that mess. And I think that's what Kimmy was really trying to say. I don't have the energy to go through all of that, and especially the energy to deal with Miss Wanda. She would have cut Tisha off immediately, especially when it comes to that damn mama of hers. But, Tisha took it real personal when she said that. And so Tisha was like, well, if you don't want to be friends, we don't have to be friends. Okay, moving on from that. So then they bring out the two moms, Miss Wanda and Miss Van. Carlos King asked, well, what happened to Martell's mom? And Martell said that his mother is doing grandmother duty. So I think that Martell's mom, I forget her name, but I think that Martell's mother probably was the smartest of them all by staying home and staying out of this mess, because man, it did not look good for either one of them. Okay, so Miss Van, Melody's mother. Miss Van says that they asked her about, her thoughts on Melody and Martell's marriage. And Miss Van said that she would have loved to have seen them stay together and work it out, but it just wasn't to be. And that, she supports her daughter wholeheartedly. And she's just happy that her daughter is in a good place now. Melody kind of got emotional about that because, it really touched her that her mom was just happy for her to be happy. Her mother was happy to see her in a good place, and her mother supports her either way, one way or the other. So then, they asked her, and then Melody said that, her mom has always been Team Martell and Melody, even when Melody herself was not Team Martell and Melody. So the mother supported both of them, even when they were going through the roughest times of their marriage. The mother was there, Miss Vanessa was there for both of them. And you see Martell sitting there in that chair with his head down, looking all forlorn and lost and sad. And it just made me even more, it got my anger up again, because I'm just like looking at Martell like, why would you mess this up? Like, Martell, and I know asking constantly isn't going to get me anywhere, and it's not going to give me the kind of closure that I need, but to see that her mother was very supportive of them staying together at some point, and hopefully them working out their issues, it's just, and then we see the love and the closeness between Martell and Miss Van, even though Martell wants to act like, he don't like Miss Van or can't give her the time of day or whatever. You see that at one point, at some point, there was love between Martell and his mother-in-law, because she seemed like a very loving woman, loving, caring woman. And Martell is just, oh, and by the way, I have seen the mistress on YouTube, whatever her name is. I have seen her, a couple of videos. Some people have posted some videos of her on YouTube, and she's a lot. She is a whole lot. And she's very angry. Very, very angry woman. And I just, the fact that Carlos King tries to paint this picture that, Martell's got this deep love for this woman, and that maybe this woman is his, true soulmate. I don't see it. I don't see that, and I don't agree with it. I think Martell wanted his ego stroked. It was exciting to find some woman out there who was willing to give him the attention that he felt like Melody wasn't giving him. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I have no idea. But he just liked the whole thrill of the hunt of, being all discreet and, secret phone calls and late night dates behind your wife's back. All of that was just very exciting. Now that's your woman. That's your woman now. It's out in the open. There ain't no more sneaking around. There ain't no more late night phone calls and two phones and all that other stuff that you were doing that was making it all so exciting. That's your woman. And she's out there on YouTube and Instagram and whatever, acting a damn fool. The baby was crying in the background. She acted like she could care less. She was busy on her Instagram live or whatever she was doing. And what? Yeah. Okay, Martell. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. So then Carlos King asked, Martell, do you believe that Miss Van was supportive of your marriage? And Martell said yes. And then Melody proceeds to tell us of an incident where I think coincidentally she showed up at some place where Martell was with his mistress and their baby. And Melody said that her children saw their father with this other woman, and their oldest daughter, Mariah, started screaming out the window, "Get away from my dad. That's my dad. Don't, stay away from my dad," because she sees this strange woman with her father. And it really affected her. And I'm just like, why haven't you told your children about your girlfriend and your new baby? And so Carlos King asked Martell, why haven't you told them about your child? And he says that it takes time. And he says that certain things happen early on that were a mistake, but the child wasn't. Okay, so basically that told me that he never really wanted to get this woman pregnant, never really wanted to have a kid with this woman, but things happen, and so now he's just gonna accept it and his child's a blessing, blah, 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 etc. Okay. But why don't your kids know about your your girlfriend and your baby? They have a whole sibling out there, and you're not going to say anything? What's happening here? You want the internet to tell them if they haven't already, and you're always so concerned about what Melody's telling the children or what she's feeding into the children's minds. Then why don't you take control and sit down with your kids and tell them? I thought they knew by now. You feel like you didn't do anything, I don't know. You feel like you're so grateful that you're out of this marriage with Melody because you were so damn unhappy. Now you're so much happier with this other woman. So why haven't you? She's your girlfriend now. You need, what's happening here? And I feel like the other woman, she probably feels some kind of way that she hasn't met the children, that the children don't know anything about her and her baby, and she's probably waiting for that ring. And I'm really interested to see if Martell is going to propose marriage to this woman, because this woman is a lot. So, excuse me. Okay, so Miss Wanda says, okay, so then they asked, what did they ask Miss Van? They asked so Miss Van, she checks Miss Wanda about telling Mel that she should get back with Martell. So they talk about that whole scene at the charity event where Miss Wanda approached Miss Van and was like, you know what, you need to tell your daughter or whatever, something about she needs to get back with her husband and so on and so forth. And Miss Van was like, I don't get involved in my children's business. They're grown. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. So Miss Wanda was like, so Miss Van was checking Wanda about that. She was like, you know what? You talk just to talk, just to hear yourself talk, because you really have nothing important to say to anyone. And then Miss Wanda was like, well, do you think she would listen to you? Do you think she would listen to you? And I'm thinking to myself, Miss Wanda, why wouldn't Melody listen to her mother? If Melody, okay, maybe Melody ain't gonna listen to nobody, but if she were to listen to anybody, it would be her mother over you. Like, why would she listen to you? You're the one that told her to go back to her abuser. When I say abuser, I don't mean physical abuse, but it was emotional abuse, to cheat on your wife. So you're telling Melody to go back into a very toxic relationship where she was very, very unhappy, to go back to a man who completely emotionally, mentally abused her, gaslighted her, and you want the children back in that type of environment, Miss Wanda. Is that what you're saying? So they're going back and forth, and then Miss Wanda brings out about some type of a sex tape that Miss Van had with one of the Scott brothers. I remember this being touched on. I don't know if it was this season or last season, but I remember this being touched on about some type of situation with Miss Wanda and some young guy. Well, the young guy, I guess, happens to be Maurice and Marceau's brother. I forget his name. And supposedly she was having some type of relationship with this person. I don't know. Miss Van says that it was completely platonic, that they were just friends. Miss Wanda claims that there's a sex tape with Miss Van and this guy. And Martell said, well, if this relationship was so platonic, why were you driving 5 to 6 hours to go see him? And Miss Van was like, he was just my friend. So then they asked Marceau, like, what was his opinion about this? And he said, okay, I didn't see anything crazy. I didn't see no damn sex tape. I didn't see anything going on between them. But there was definitely a relationship there. They were definitely friends. So what's the problem? I'm not understanding. What's going on here? Why is this an issue? Why are we talking about this? Is this man married? No. Okay. Is Ms. Van married? No. Okay. Are they all over the age of 18? Oh, they are? Okay. So what's the issue if she was having some type of a relationship, whether it was romantic or not romantic, with one of the Scott brothers? Not Maurice or Marceau, but another brother. Like, why is that being talked about? I didn't get it. So, and then for Martell to be like, well, you were driving 5 to 6 hours to go see him. Martell, shut up. You got so much going on. Your plate is so full of crap. You have no room to talk about anyone else's situation. Okay, you got too much going on to be talking about. Why do you want to drag your children's grandmother into this? I mean, why do you want to feel like you need to put your 2 cents into this to kind of make your children's grandmother look bad? To kind of make it look like, she was doing something really torrid with this person. Like, why are you doing that? Anyways, so she can do whatever the hell she wants to do. So Miss Wanda was like, well, I'm just repeating what I see on social media. And I'm like, Miss Wanda, do you know what you're saying? Social media is like the least credible, least reliable source of information. And here you are bragging about that you get your information from social media. Not even social media like news organizations, but you get your information from the comments that people make, that random people make on, these people's posts on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or something. Miss Wanda, you are let me just not go there. But Miss Wanda, you just sound, you sound crazy. Okay, you're up there admitting that you're repeating stuff that you see on social media. Who does that? Who does that? And you're just repeating the garbage that's in the comment section. That is so sad, Miss Wanda. Okay, and then this is when Tisha felt like she had to check her mother. Now, girl, please. Okay, so if you like to repeat stuff on social media, Miss Wanda, what about the stuff that's being said about Tisha? Evidently, whatever that's being said about Tisha was so bad that Tisha completely deleted all of her social media. Whatever was going on social media drove her away from social media. She's not even on social media anymore because of whatever was going on or whatever was being said about her. Do you want to talk about the stuff that was being said about Tisha and Marceau? Do you care to enlighten us with those comments? Because you want to talk about Miss Van and Melody and Martell? Well, what about what was being said about your daughter and your son-in-law? I'm very interested to hear about that. And evidently you believe it because, everything on social media, according to you, Miss Wanda, is true. So Marcel says that he never saw, like I said, he never saw anything. He didn't see no damn sex tape, but there was definitely some kind of a relationship. So Carlos King says to Miss Wanda, do you feel Kimmy is a snake? And Miss Wanda said, yes, she does believe that Kimmy is a snake. And she said that because she said that whenever Kimmy and Tisha were really close, they were always talking about Mel. But then when Kimmy and Mel got close, she just assumed they were talking about Tisha all the time. Why? Why would they be talking about Tisha? Like, what's going on with Tisha? Like, what is so interesting about Tisha that Kim... First of all, Mel is very self-centered. I don't see Mel and Kimmy just having these hours and hours and hours of conversation about Tisha. Now, Tisha and Kimmy talking about Mel, I can believe that because I can see Tisha really driving that conversation. And maybe Kimmy just like, well, yeah, I hear you, girl. Yeah, I see what you mean, girl. Yeah, I hear you. That's how what I see Kimmy doing, and I see Tisha just and Bell this and Martell that, and they secret love child, and he's doing this, and I see Tisha doing all that, and Kimmy just nodding her head, listen, like, okay, girl. Well, I'm gonna go on and get off this phone now. So Kimmy has given up on Tisha and Miss Wanda because she says, you know what, I can't be because Carlos King had said to Kimmy, you look like you're just frustrated and fed up. And Kimmy was like, I'm done. I've tried. And I cannot be who they want me to be. And they want you to be like this diehard, blind and deaf person that all you do is support Tisha and Wanda and Marcel. You just support them blindly, 1,000%. You don't ask no questions. You don't investigate. You don't analyze. You don't think for yourself. You just go. You just follow them around like a little lost puppy. That is what they expect Kimmy to do, and Kimmy's not going to do that. She's not. She's her own person. She's got her own mind and her own opinions about stuff. And if it's not 1,001% team Tisha, team Holt, they don't want nothing to do with they don't like that. So she's not gonna do that. So Letitia says that everyone else, she says, when everyone else is dragging me, you're helping them drag me. What? No, she's not. Kimmy is not there to help anybody drag anybody. She's too old and she's too professional for all that mess. And then Tisha said that she's so mad that Kimmy hasn't. So this is what I feel like. I feel like that the problem with Tisha is that she just wants Kimmy to scream it from the mountaintop. Marcel loves Tisha and he has never been unfaithful to her, and he will never be unfaithful to her, and he's never thought about being unfaithful to her. He is 110% committed to Tisha, and that is what Tisha wants Kimmy to do. And Kimmy is like, you know what? She's probably seen some things. She's probably heard some things from her husband, Marcel's brother, that she's like, you know what? I can support you to a point, but I'm not going to support you like I don't know nothing. I'm not going to come up here and act like I don't have my own suspicions, or I haven't heard stuff myself or seen things myself. So she's just trying to keep it real cute for Tisha and be like, you know what? I have supported you. I have defended you. But she can only go so far. She can't do what Tisha expects her to do, which is just to be like, there is just no way in hell that Marcel would ever cheat on Tisha. That would never, because she's going to come out looking like a fool when stuff comes out that doesn't support that narrative. So Kimmy is just like, yes, they're happily married. Yes, everything is fine with them. Because she's not going to go all out like that, because you never know what's going on in someone else's marriage. I don't care if you're their sister-in-law, best friend, mama, aunt. You will never know what is going on behind closed doors. And on top of that, you will never know what someone is doing whenever they're not around you. You as a spouse, as a wife, when your husband goes to the grocery store, you don't know if he's making 2 quick trips to someone else's house. You don't know that. Unless someone is with you 24 hours a day, you will never know what someone is doing on their own free time. So can't nobody defend anybody 100% on anything unless your eyeballs are on them 24/7, and they're not. So then Jalen comes out with black champagne, passes that out to everybody. It seems like the show has been renewed. I think Carlos King announced that they're going to be coming back for another season. Everybody's cheering, including Lewis and Tiffany. And I was so confused because I was like, why are they cheering? Have their contracts been renewed? Because unless your contract has been renewed, tone it down. And yeah, that was the end of this reunion. So I feel like we still have some loose ends, because what is going on with Melody and Destiny? What is going on with Kimmy and Tisha? And we all know what's going on with Martell. And I'm just curious, Martell and Melody, I'm just curious to see how that's going to go when Martell decides to tell his children about his girlfriend and his baby boy. Yeah, hopefully that's going to come out next season. Anyways, thank you so much if you've made it this far. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.